What's something so commonly misunderstood that you need to clear up? Fire sprinklers in normal buildings do not all open at once, completely soaking the whole place. Each sprinkler head has its own temperature-sensitive element. That head, and only that head, opens when the temperature is reached. No other heads will open unless they too reach the set temperature, usually around 165 F or 74 C. Edit. Added Celsius, which I should have done in the first place. Edit 2, my goodness. Thanks for the platinum. Too kind. Therapy is great, but it can take a while to find the right one. If one of them just rubs you the wrong way, don't feel like you have to stick around and find another. Edit. I appreciate knowing other people can relate but also wish for the best. A mother bird will not reject its babies or eggs if you touch them. Genetic tests that tell you your family is Swedish or Ghanaian or Japanese or Ecuadorian are not based on some magical code which is locked in stone for each country. They are based on a database of genetic markers that are common to the geographical area in question. How that database is compiled and who provides their genetic material is relatively subjective based on the company collecting and using the data. So the results may be skewed. Don't necessarily take it as gospel. The MRI is always on. It's never safe to enter the room with anything that the field can affect. So you should never enter the room until you have permission to do so. Despite what you see in movies and TV, punching someone in the head, unless you really know what you are doing, can be much worse for the puncher than the person being punched. Think of the size of the skull vs the size of the bones in your fingers. I had a friend, an amateur boxer, did competition, win a bar fight with one hook punch. However, even him, trained, broke multiple bones in his hand on the punch. Barrel roll, pitching up and at the same time banking in a plane in full roll. It is so named because you can visualize the plane rolling around the inside of a barrel in a spiral. Done properly, you remain in positive G's, force pushing you against the floor of the plane, through the entire maneuver. He's the famous Bob Hoover pouring tea while doing a barrel roll. Aileron roll, the aircraft rolls roughly in place as if spinning on its axis. Unlike a barrel roll, the occupants will feel positive, sideways, and negative G's through the maneuver. Get it right, Pepe. You're a goddamned military officer. In bra sizes, it's a myth that A equals small, B equals medium, C equals large, D equals large. Truth, a bra size is actually a ratio of band to cup size. This means that a 32C is 5 cup sizes smaller than a 42C. It means both 28F and 34A are made for busts of 35. It means many women are wearing bands that are too big for their rib cages with cups that are too small, and it means that most retailers only carry 4 sizes of bands, 32 to 38, and 4 or 5 sizes of cups when in reality the full range of normalness is something like 26 to 50 a.m. This video walks you through exactly how it really works. https://www.youtube.com/watch?mark v=8jk55ep4suq. This sub will help you find the right size and fit for you, or /a bra that fits. For night driving. Don't wait until an oncoming vehicle is directly in your path to lower your high beams. Do it before the vehicle arrives so that you don't temporarily blind the driver. Betta fish cannot live in a cute tiny filterless unheated 0.5-gallon Betta tank. Yes, they sell them in those little cups, and yes, they market adorable and trendy special Betta tanks. Don't buy those. They're bad. You should have at least 5 gallons, 10 is better, a filter, a heater, and some decor for them to swim around/hide in. And don't get plastic plants. If it's rough enough to snag pantyhose, it's rough enough to snag your Betta's pretty fins. Likewise, goldfish are an intensive starting fish that needs a way bigger tank than you think. And they live longer than you think. Fish bowls are just fish torture chambers. Fish are friends, not decor. I load and unload the planes for a major airline at O'Hare. There isn't a dead body on every flight. I might see one once a month, maybe at least one comes through once a day on flights I don't work, but there are thousands of flights daily, the vast majority aren't flying hearses. Yes, I am blind. Yes, totally blind. No, not just blind without glasses. Full on, eternal darkness blind. And yes, blind people can use the internet. Shaving doesn't make hair grow in thicker, it shears off the hair shaft, making it more noticeable than a tapered, natural hair. Based on what my psychiatrist has told me, and my own experience, people react to antidepressants in different ways. Or, in other words, you might have to try several different kinds of antidepressants until you find the right one. I was on a few different types of antidepressants and they all made me feel like a zombie. I hated it. Then I got on Zoloft and found that it really didn't affect me negatively at all. Apparently if it works for you family, it also has a good chance of working for you, so if you have family on a medicine that is working, try that one first. My dad and uncles were on Zoloft and had no issues. Basically if you don't like how you feel, don't give up. Ask to try a different kind/brand. That headaches are in the brain. Brain in itself has no pain receptors, but it is the tension, swelling of the blood vessels in the brain and also the tightening of muscles in the neck and head that causes headaches. Low /imbalance of serotonin levels can also lead to headache. Edit. And most importantly, dehydration can also lead to headache. Cajun and Creole versions of bayou cooking are not the same. Being an introvert doesn't imply being a shy person. Organ transplantation can only occur in very specific ways. You have to suffer a devastating brain injury in a way that you don't die right away but are hooked up to life support machines. Only then, when the medical team treating you sees that your brain is not going to recover, brain dead, is the permission given to discuss donation with your family, which in the end really approves the recovery. So people who don't want to put organ donor in their ID for fears that doctors won't try to save me, stop it. TV and movies would have some believing that rendering a person unconscious isn't a big deal as heroes peacefully disable the baddies. No, you've created potential brain trauma that not only put that person's life in jeopardy but will likely have lifelong side effects. You can like a fictional character and not condone their actions. They may be a piece of garbage, but it does not mean I will not wave my happy flag whenever they appear on screen. Morality in fiction is very different of morality in real life. When I try to keep it simple, the i7 in a laptop is not the same i7 in a desktop, they're different kind of i7s for laptop and desktop. Hell, even some i5s are better than i7s. You don't get taxed more just because you get a raise. This is the difference between your marginal and effective tax rates. Different portions of your income get taxed at different tax rates, so, for a single person in 2020, your first $9,875 is taxed at 10%, from $9,875 to $40,125 is taxed at 12%, from $40,126 to $85,525 is taxed at 22%, and so on. This means that if you earn, say, $50,000 a year, the entire $50,000 isn't taxed at 22%. 22% is your marginal/highest tax rate. You cannot lose money by getting a raise in most cases. Edit. Obligatory thank you for the gold, kind stranger. Now, how do I report this income to the IRS? Antisocial and asocial are not the same thing. Antisocial has for some reason taken the place of asocial. Antisocial is breaking rules and societal norms. Being asocial is isolating yourself from other people. Stella Liebeck didn't frivolously sue McDonald's just for hot coffee. The coffee caused third-degree burns. She originally just asked for McDonald's to cover medical expenses and lost wages. The $3 million settlement was the revenue of 2 days of coffee sales for McDonald's, and a judge cut it down significantly later on. The Greek word daemon is enunciated exactly the same as the English word demon, even though they mean different things. So, all of you Linux admins, you aren't restarting daemons, you are restarting demons. Game developers are almost never the reason your favorite game has microtransactions. That fault usually falls on the publisher. Wikipedia is a credible source, most of the time. When it's not, you can tell because it won't have sources listed. Teachers these days really hate on Wikipedia, but it's a useful site for quick information. Blasters in the Star Wars universe do not fire lasers. They fire chunks of superheated plasma. It just glows, making it look like a laser but moves at the speed of a projectile rather than a laser beam. Being smart/intelligent and being educated are two different things. Etc. not etc. Ignorance is one thing, willful ignorance is quite another. There is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Isaac Asimov. Until schools start teaching critical thinking skills, and everyone does what they can to continually improve and sharpen their own, the situation will not improve much. Just because someone became a massage therapist/masseuse does not mean they want to touch people all the time. The apostrophe goes in front of a truncated decade or year, like 90s or 56, not 90s. You use the apostrophe the same way as always, by replacing the digits you don't need with it. If you're out of a spice, don't give up on a dish. Many spices can use others from the same family to create a similar taste, such as cloves and allspice and cinnamon. Unless that spice is literally the only major on in the dish, you should be able to swap. A part is different from a part. Anyway is different from anyway. Every time is different from every time. In this case, the latter isn't even an actual word. Hangout is different from hangout. Login is different from login. Workout is different from workout. Every day is different from every day. People seem to be getting very confused these days when it comes to joining words together. You can disagree with someone without being a rude prick. It's totally fine to have a different opinion than someone else as long as you're being respectful and civil. Edit. Okay, apparently I have to clarify that I'm not saying you should be saying "oh, agree to disagree" when talking about bigots or anyone else that refute the humanity of different social/racial/sexual/etc. groups. To elucidate, it's alright to disagree with someone and still be respectful, not that you can disagree with someone and must be respectful, regardless of the views you disagree with. If someone tells you they don't like avocados, you can disagree without telling them they're shit and that you're going to break into their home and rape them to death. I did not say that if someone tells you they think women/black/LGBTQ people are subhuman, you have to be sweet and charming, and tell them that you respect their opinion but disagree. I didn't think I had to specify that. In Harry Potter, you don't get your Hogwarts letter on your 11th birthday. It just so happens that Harry first opens his letter on his birthday, but all of the other kids get them around mid-July. In the first book/movie it is sent a couple weeks before his birthday, but the Dursleys won't let him open it, so it's not even a book vs movie thing. I know it's not a big deal, but it just drives me crazy when people say how devastated they were when they didn't get a Hogwarts letter on their birthday, unless their birthday is in mid-July. The blood inside your body isn't blue until it's exposed to oxygen, it's always red, just different shades. Your veins look blue under your skin because of the way your skin absorbs light and reflects it back to your eyes. The misconception most likely came from medical texts that use red and blue ink to help illustrate the flow of oxygenated blood vs unoxygenated blood. The hobbits in Lord of the Rings weren't smoking marijuana, as the prelude in FOTR clearly states that pipeweed is tobacco. It's couldn't care less. Could not care less. I did not take a shit in a cement mixer. First gold. Thanks random citizen. You're tired after Thanksgiving because of the TREPTOPHN in the 2RKEYY. Turkey is a pretty regularly consumed meat. How many times have you been uncharacteristically tired after eating a turkey sandwich for lunch? It's not like this is the only time you're eating turkey, and lots of other foods have tryptophan. You're tired because you had a huge meal, often with wine or some other alcoholic beverage. You traveled, or you have been cooking and cleaning like a banshee to prepare for 15 people to come over. You're tired after arguing politics at the dinner table with all of your fuck-ass relatives. It's a very exhausting holiday. Evolution is not linear, there is no step-by-step process. We haven't found the missing link because there is no missing link. Evolution is like a tree, it has branches that extend and intertwine, but there is no straight line of monkey to human, it's more complicated. Edit 1 for wording. Edit 2 for spelling. That your name generally doesn't make you the same or similar to people who share the same name. Analogies don't necessarily mean that the two things you're comparing are the same thing. I see this all the time on Reddit. Person A, somebody being persuasive means they are a great person. For example, Martin Luther King was a great man, because he was persuasive and convinced lots of people to join his cause. Person B, Hitler was persuasive and convinced lots of people to join his cause, 2, that doesn't make someone necessarily great. Person A: OMG, you're saying milk is the same as Hitler? 1. No, the analogy was used to point out that somebody being persuasive means they are a great person is not necessarily true. It was not used to say that milk is the same as Hitler. In fact, the fact that they are so clearly different is the thing the analogy rests on to make the point, that two people who are so clearly different were both persuasive, thus being persuasive is not necessarily a judge of good character. Milk was great for many reasons, but because he was persuasive is not something that automatically makes a person great. Almost every time I reply to somebody with an analogy, they accuse me of saying you're saying they're the same. No, that is not how analogies work. If you're skeptical of something, you're wary not weary. The basic principles of something are the tenets not tenets. These two word misuses are all over Reddit. They're clearly commonly misunderstood. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Edit. Expanded on my first point. Being nice isn't a personality, it's the bare fucking minimum. As a dietitian, weight loss. No matter how simple it is, calories in versus calories out, people just don't want to hear it. Everything else is to blame. OCD is obsessively and compulsively doing and obsessing over something. Don't say you're OCD because you're the tiniest bit of a neat freak. In fact, I'm the opposite of a neat freak. Cleaning means coming in contact with germs, so I'm less likely to clean. Czechoslovakia doesn't exist anymore, it's Czech Republic and Slovakia since January 1, 1993. From many action movies. If you hit someone hard enough that they pass out, at best you've given them a concussion, at worst you've just given them a deadly hemorrhage. If they're out for more than just a few seconds, it's extremely likely they're in grave mortal danger and they're not just going to wake up in a few hours and just be mildly upset. Also, blocking the mouth of someone who's unconscious is going to kill a lot of people. Not everyone can breathe through their nose, they might have a cold, they might puke due to previously mentioned concussion. Stormtroopers do not have bad aim. They took out the rebels at the beginning of A New Hope. They slaughtered the Jawas and were too accurate to be confused with sand people. Every other encounter they either hold their own or overrun their enemy. Tarkin literally tells Vader that they are taking a risk in letting Luke and the gang go. They planted a tracking beacon on their ship. Leia even notes their escape was too easy. Suppressors do not make things Hitman silent. It makes them less loud. For reference, permanent hearing damage occurs at anything above 150 dB regardless of exposure time. AR suppressed vs non-unsuppressed, 170 dB louder than a jet engine from 100 feet, 140 dB. Suppressed, 135 dB front row at a rock concert. Glock 9mm suppressed vs unsuppressed. Unsuppressed 165 dB, again louder than a jet engine from 100 feet at takeoff. Suppressed, 125 dB, about as loud as an ambulance siren from 5 m away. We put mufflers on our cars, but many states ban mufflers on guns. Not only that, but they significantly increase the length and thus make concealment difficult, and they get insanely hot because they trap all those gases. Want to know how hot they get? Run your car for 5 minutes, then touch your muffler. No, not the heat shield on it, I mean the actual muffler itself. If not, try the exhaust pipe, then go see a doctor for your second-degree burns. What's more is that criminals do not use suppressors. According to who? The ATF themselves. Consistent with this low number of prosecution referrals, silencers are very rarely used in criminal shootings, Turk wrote. Given the lack of criminality associated with silencers, it is reasonable to conclude that they should not be viewed as a threat to public safety necessitating National Firearms Act classification, and should be considered for reclassification under the Gun Control Act. There is no reason suppressors remain on the NFA except ignorance and fear. That the human anus can indeed stretch to 15 centimeters and the average adult raccoon can fit in a space as small as 13 centimeters, so really anyone could be hiding a raccoon right now. So many people think raccoons are much larger than they are. Air traffic controllers are not the ones in a high-vis vest with the illuminated wands, signaling a pilot where to park or maneuver their plane. Those are marshallers. Every single stock photo used in newspapers, news websites etc. Lay and lie are not the same verb. I'm going to lie down is correct. I'm going to lay down is not. Evolution is not that humans came from monkeys or gorillas. Evolution is that millions of years ago we came from a common ancestor. Your taxes aren't a flat rate of your whole income. It's a percentage of that bracket. So let's just make up some numbers. If you get paid $20,000/year and you're in the lowest bracket and get taxed 8%, then you get a raise to $20,001/year and move to the 15% tax bracket. People are saying that now their income is being taxed more, but that's not entirely true. You're getting taxed 15% on that $1, not the whole $20,001. Leaving a balance does not increase your credit score. You should never have a balance over 30% of your available credit, but you don't need to hold that balance to increase your score. Pay things off quickly and on time and that will increase your score. Cats are not mean, they are territorial and don't like being approached by strangers. Cats are incredibly cuddly and sweet with their owners because they trust them, but unlike dogs, they don't like being approached by strangers. It's like if some random person walked into your house and suddenly tried to kiss you, you'd tell that person to back up. That is a cat. Edit. I'm not taking out the apostrophes. My phone auto-corrected cats to cats, but apparently it's killing some people to look at it. I'm leaving it there out of spite cause I'm a child. Most Americans fall into a very middle ground between left and right political views. Media is the problem. Everything you see on the media is the extremist version. A liberal or conservative shown on T.B or social media is going to be a SJW, white knight, racist, or a bigot. They will not show you the neutral because it doesn't bring up the ratings. Electrocuted means killed by electricity. You were not electrocuted, you were shocked. Edit. This one can be put as false. Electrocution derives from electro and execution implying a death by electricity. Some definitions come back as killed or severely injured, some come back as death. So this one is up in the air, but I'll put this as false. Your family member who is good with computers, is not necessarily good with all electronics. Don't call your software engineer nephew to come and fix your router or how to set up your new gadget. No matter what you buy, or what you do, you will be spied on by a company. They're not looking for your credit card info or what illegal things you're doing. They're trying to find advertisement to sell you so they can make money. And you can't get away. Depression is not the same as being sad. Depressed people can be happy. Depression is a lack of motivation and self-worth. Imagine everything in life being gray. Things can still make you happy, you can still have friends. But nothing is exciting or vibrant. The world is dull. Depression does not necessarily mean they're suicidal. Do not avoid or walk on eggshells just because someone told you they're depressed. Edit. Adjusted my wording to not put down people who are seriously going through suicidal thoughts. ADHD and OCD are not fun. Though their symptoms are easy to mimic or you can find yourself with some of them does not mean you have them. I suffer from AD and no one knows, and it fucks with my work life every day and school all my life. But because everyone claims, oh, I have ADHD, I can't sit still, suddenly my issue means nothing. I remember in high school teachers wouldn't even believe me when I told them I had it. My parents had to bring them the medical forms. Even at my old job, so many people would say they have ADHD/AD just because they can't focus. Most people can't focus due to a lack of interest, not because they can't do it on their own. Being autistic doesn't mean you can't hold relationships or communicate. As someone with autism, it's not easy for people to tell. It's more so a problem with being able to express your emotions effectively. It's a problem with empathy and understanding how others feel. It's a problem with sometimes becoming obsessive. It's also a problem with communicating effectively because you can't exactly empathize or understand the other person to a certain level. More and more kids are diagnosed with autism and depression not because of vaccines or because they're snowflakes, it's because we are finally learning more about mental health and we are realizing it was a bigger problem than we thought. I think I'm done.